Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into a medical paradox that is honestly going to completely change how you view your everyday habits. We're talking about your kidneys, and a condition so incredibly stealthy that doctors literally call it the silent killer. But here's the real hook. The actual cause behind this silent killer, it's probably not what you'd expect. We're not just looking at the standard clinical risks today, no. We are looking at a deeply human behavior that might be quietly destroying your internal organs as we speak.
So let me ask you this. Is being too nice actually bad for your health? Well, according to Dr. Hashi, he's an internal medicine physician who's treated countless patients. The answer is a resounding yes. We're exploring a pretty startling concept today, which is chronic self-neglect. You know, that habit of constantly prioritizing everybody else, your family, your boss, your aging parents, while totally sacrificing your own rest and nutrition. It turns out that behavior is actually a massive hidden risk factor for kidney failure.
And we really need to grasp the sheer scale of this issue. 1 in 8. Let that sink in. 1 in 8 adults currently has some form of kidney disease. This isn't just some rare, isolated illness. It's a sweeping societal problem. I mean, there are so many people walking around right this second, completely unaware that their internal filtration system is just quietly breaking down under the immense pressure of their daily lives.
Okay, moving into Section 1. The empathy risk factor, a psychological profile.
So looking past the textbook clinical causes, things like diabetes or high blood pressure, Dr. Hashi makes this incredibly profound observation. He says, kidney disease is the disease of those who value others over themselves. He shared this fascinating, though kind of heartbreaking story about a typical patient of his. She's this super earnest, hardworking woman in her 50s who came into his clinic feeling a little down after a health screening. She had absolutely no idea what was actually happening inside her own body.
Let's break down the daily reality of this hidden risk profile. So this patient wakes up at 5:30 a.m. every single morning just to cook for her family. Then she rushes off to a super demanding management track job. And when the weekend finally rolls around, she doesn't rest. Nope, she travels to take care of her elderly parents. To juggle all of this, she skips sleep, she grabs quick convenience store meals, and she basically ignores all of her personal boundaries to help everyone else. Now, the human body is incredibly resilient, for sure, but right around the age of 45, our cells naturally start losing some of that bounce-back ability. When you push yourself this hard and you sacrifice your own sleep and nutrition post-45, your body, and specifically your kidneys, literally starts to break down.
Which brings us to Section 2, your body's drainage system, how kidneys work.
To really get why this lifestyle is so destructive, we got to look at the biological mechanics. Your kidneys are these two highly vascular, fist-sized organs located on your back, right around the level of your elbows. Honestly, think of them exactly like a neighborhood drainage system. As your blood circulates, it's essentially driving around, picking up garbage from all over your body. The kidneys act as the central gathering point for all that waste. They take the trash, dissolve it into water, and flush it completely out of your body as urine. It's a remarkably efficient system. Well, when it's functioning properly.
But what exactly is this invisible trash they're filtering? Well, it's things like acids, or H+, which would actively damage your tissues if they were just left to circulate. It's also things like potassium. Now, we're always told to eat our vegetables, right? But vegetables are actually really high in potassium, and if you get too much of it, your kidneys are the ones responsible for clearing that excess out. So if your kidneys are totally exhausted from stress and poor diet, that potassium and those acids start building up and wreaking absolute havoc on your entire system.
All right, Section 3. Why women miss the signs, the biological blind spot.
Because all this internal damage happens so quietly, physical symptoms like really heavy, swollen legs and that constant, unshakable fatigue, they actually appear very, very late in the game. And women have a major biological blind spot here. Women generally have lower leg muscle mass than men do. Because of this, combined with things like sitting at a desk or standing all day, fluid naturally tends to pool in their legs. So when late-stage kidney disease causes leg swelling and fatigue, women just tend to dismiss it. They think, oh, I'm just tired from working so hard today. Men, on the flip side, have higher muscle mass in their legs, which acts almost like a physical pump. Just by walking around, their muscles naturally push that fluid back up toward the heart. So for a woman, that everyday swelling completely masks the disease.
But hold on a second. Let's flip this around. If women are missing all the signs because of their biology, you'd probably assume they have much higher rates of kidney failure, right? Well, surprisingly, no. Men actually develop kidney disease 2.5 times more often than women.
So why the huge gap? It all comes down to pure behavior. Men tend to ignore the doctor. They avoid their annual health screenings because, hey, they feel fine, so they just skip it.
Women, despite completely missing the physical symptoms at home, are way more likely to actually go in for routine medical checkups. And that one simple act of showing up to the doctor is literally what saves them, because this disease gets caught on paper way before those physical symptoms take over.
Let's move to Section 4, Diagnosing the Damage, the Medical Mystery Solved.
Let's look at exactly how doctors catch this silent killer before the harm becomes irreparable. The very first clue comes from a standard routine urine test, specifically looking for albumin. Albumin is a really vital protein, and its main job is to stay safely inside your bloodstream to keep you healthy. If your doctor finds albumin leaking out into your urine, it basically means the physical filter in your kidney has holes in it. It's actively breaking down. This right here is your very first early warning sign.
Next up, they check your blood. They're testing for a specific waste product called creatinine. By measuring this creatinine, doctors can calculate your eGFR, that's your glomerular filtration rate. Put simply, this number reveals the exact stage of your kidney's deterioration. It tells your doctor exactly how much function you've already lost.
Which leads us to Section 5, the self-care prescription, reclaiming your health. So once we know the extent of the damage, how do we actually fix it? We really need to reframe medical care and our daily habits as the ultimate form of self-love, especially for you exhausted caregivers out there. Kidney disease is broken down into stages. In stages 1 through 3, the damage is gradual, and the fantastic news here is that you can absolutely manage and even halt this progression just through lifestyle changes. It's all about self-care, getting decent sleep, and seriously cutting back on salt. But if you hit stages 4 and 5, you are at a very high risk of total kidney failure. At that point, immediate specialist care becomes completely non-negotiable if you want to avoid dialysis.
So what does everyday kidney defense actually look like in practice? Well, first off, you absolutely must prioritize high-quality sleep. That is the time when your cells actually repair themselves. Second, you gotta drastically reduce your salt intake. High salt spikes your blood pressure, which violently damages those super delicate blood vessels inside your kidneys. So instead of salt, try relying on rich umami flavors like dashi broth, or just use pepper. And this is crucial. You have to stop using heavy, salty convenience food as your go-to stress relief after a long day of taking care of everybody else. And finally, schedule and actually show up to those regular health checkups.
Because here is something you really have to take away from this explainer. Your kidneys do so much more than just filter out trash. They are literally a hormone factory. They produce this vital hormone called erythropoietin, which signals your body to make blood and keeps your bones strong. If you let this silent killer reach late-stage failure, you're not just losing a filter, you are entirely halting the vital hormone production that keeps your skeleton strong and your blood flowing. And that brings us to our final thought today. For all the incredibly hardworking, deeply empathetic people watching this explainer right now, the ones making the meals, doing the elder care, practically running the office, you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you let yourself break down, you literally won't be able to help anyone. So I want to leave you with a question to carry with you today. What will you do to actively put yourself first today without feeling a single ounce of guilt? Please take care of yourselves out there, and thank you so much for learning with us today.